Florida ranks number 50 in terms of states that support mental health. What's astonishing is the state of Mississippi spends about 3 times the amount per person with an issue as Florida. In the Northeast, I think it's New York, spends almost 6 times as much. We've got insurance issues in terms of being able to receive assistance regarding mental health. And so I've learned a little bit about it. I happen to serve on healthcare committees in Tallahassee. The guy that owns the Pittsburgh Steelers, his family, happens to have a daughter with autism, and happens to understand that his family is a little different than most families with a person with a disability, and understands that we need to do a little bit more as a state when it comes to helping people who are in need. My background, as an example, I've been in the nonprofit arena for many, many years. And now I do consulting in the same way, but I spent almost 9 years with the Alzheimer's Association, spent a few years with the Area Agency on Aging, and then at a place called the Lord's Place, which was homeless individuals. And so I've picked up information along the way that helps me better connect on issues that are relevant to you, perhaps. So with that, and the incredible type of backgrounds that we have, what I'm hoping to share with you is you shouldn't be afraid to approach anybody in a suit who's elected. The suits, you all generally happen to be experts in this particular issue in terms of mental health. I mean, you know, you're giving me statistics that are great. And so we really depend on you as individuals and also as a group to inform us and tell us the important things that we need to understand. And you know, when you look at Florida being ranked number 50, then it becomes a much more complex discussion. Somewhere along the line, mental health was left in the dust. All right, so explainers.
I don't know if you can answer this or not. Why are we number 50?
Why are we number 50? Do you want my answer, or do you want me to make one up?
No, I'd like to know why. What do you think?
My opinion is this. The state of Florida is more concerned about cutting budgets and sticking to pledges that legislators made where they refuse to talk about more revenue. It's the T word, if you're not familiar with taxes. Up north, you have places called commonwealths. It's an interesting type of way to think about things. Here in Florida, we just cut, because we're not courageous enough to come up with a system of finding the revenue to take care of 19 million people.
There's no state tax, right?
Well, it's a little more complex. I'm going to answer your question. I'll get a little more into the weeds, but no, we don't have an income tax. Okay? Yeah. Well, so far, and it would be tough right now because of that Grover Norquist pledge. The state of Florida relies, and Lori can tell you, Representative Verma can tell you, some of them have waited 11 years to find assistance for a child that might be 40 or 50. And those parents realize they're going to be dying in the next 20 to 40 years. They've waited 11 years to figure out what that plan might be. Seniors in this state, I talk a lot about this. Right now, it's forecast that next month, there will be over 100,000 seniors on wait lists. That's more than the total number of people being provided services by the Department of Elder Affairs. More on wait list as opposed to those numbers already being provided services. Those services that they're on a wait list for are basically services to keep them out of long-term care, which is skilled nursing, a nursing home. Now what's interesting is it takes about 100 days, I'm answering your question, 100 days to burn through your personal savings once you enter a long-term care facility. And guess who pays after you run out of your money? You do. So we're in this situation where nobody will talk about revenue, and we're going to continue to trim away services. And we're going to change the rules so less people are basically eligible for programs that are helping people. Another statistic that you'll find incredible, and this is one reason why I think we also need to implement affordable care. Right now in the state of Florida, in order to become part of that Medicaid system, you have to be at 22% of the poverty level. So if you're a parent, a single parent with a child, in order for you to get the Medicaid service, you have to make at or less than $3,500 annually. Now there are on average 3.1 million people on Medicaid in this state. 50% of those are children 18 and younger. So when you look at where our priorities are, it's no wonder we're 50th. And, you know, the reason I come and talk to you about this is because you should be angry and you should be demanding change from people that represent you in this area all the way to the Panhandle. And you've got to hold us accountable and stop allowing us to lie to you. Yep.
I just want to say that we just moved here from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
The Commonwealth of
I got
Massachusetts.
to tell you, I'm sitting here in total shock at the poverty level. Consider the 3,000.
I'm going to repeat it. You said you just moved in from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and you're stunned at the poverty level.
We're social workers.
Oh, you're social workers. I mean, look, we don't talk about quality of life. We don't hardly ever talk about, and I say we, Lori and I certainly do, and a number of others, but we don't talk about dignity for life. And what we do, we talk about other things that really have no place when we've got such a severe crisis in how we treat our own Floridians, our own friends and our neighbors and our loved ones. Did you want to? Yeah.
I wanted to ask, what do you need from us that will allow you to have more of an impact on the legislature?
What you need to do for us, I changed that around too, but that's what he said, I think. We need smarter people voting. We need you to stop voting for people that are nice. I'm just going to be blunt. There are a lot of people that are really nice that run for office, and they purposely vote against your interests every single day in Tallahassee. And I'm not lying, I hear it, because they're more concerned about those dollars. And that means you've got to use these type of formats and groups to zero in on how people like me vote. And don't listen to the rhetoric that comes in your mail and on television. We have a record if we're already in. Lori's got a great record, I've got a great record. You may hate it, I doubt you will. But it's there for anybody to see, it's free. And all you have to do is match bill numbers that are important to red and green activity when we're up there. And you'll find out very quickly who's your friend and who smiles and says, hey, good to see you. And they're flat out not only hurting you, but your family. Yep.
Yes. Representative Pafford, thank you for coming. I can hear the passion as you speak. So is there a personal reason you're involved? Because, I mean, you're passionate about this, and I thank you for it.
Well, obviously it hasn't been an economic value to me, being a legislator, or my wife, or my family. But there are very few people up there that will actually speak truth about what we see. And like I said, you know, a number of us will, but not many. And, you know, so I think that I'm providing a good service by being here, speaking about things that nobody else wants to talk about, because it'll show you. It's kind of, you know the new TV series, well maybe it's old now, where they have the magician showing all the tricks, and they're not, you know, he gets yelled at because he's showing you all the tricks and all the secrets to the tricks. That's, at this point, I don't pass legislation. I basically talk about truth in advertising, and I call people out that are doing bad things, and that's why I do it.
Thank you.
I'm on SSI and SSD, and I live with mental illness. I'm dually diagnosed, and I have multiply symptomatic. It is almost impossible for me to function as a normal human being without medication. And on medication, as you see me now, I can appear quite normal. And I'm getting a lot of flack from people when they find out that I receive a check from the government for my disability, because they say there's nothing wrong with me and that I'm putting on an act to collect a crazy check. It is an attitude that I deal with almost on a daily basis. And I'm curious as to whether or not members of this legislature have that same attitude about people with mental illness. There's nothing wrong with them. They're putting on an act, you know. I am the way I am. I cannot change the way I am. I can put on clothes one leg at a time, my pants, the jacket, whatever. But I cannot change what's going on with me on a daily basis. It's no different than someone having cancer or MS or NPA.
Here's my answer. I'll give you my experience and an example. About a decade ago, I met somebody who had incredible anxiety and was medicated, but also self-medicated. And I said, you need to just stop doing what you're doing. You know, the doctors are just pumping you with a bunch of garbage. And the response back was, hey, you have diabetes. You take that medicine, you stop what you're doing. And it dawned on me that basically we were talking about the same thing. Now, I'm a pretty smart person, but I didn't know anything about mental illness other than what I've read. I'm certainly very tolerant, if you will. I don't know if that's a great example to describe myself. But I certainly understand that people have a number of issues and medication's great. But that's me. I didn't understand it. And a personal experience, a continued experience for me, allows me to understand things better and better every day. Now let me tell you something, kind of bring something else. When I was with the Alzheimer's Association, I used to go visit the legislature. And what we would do, we wouldn't have me in the suit, who's the executive director, show up and talk. We would bring a family, usually a caregiver, and usually their spouse. And the person with the disease would explain why they were there. Now, we weren't setting them up for failure, but we wanted to try and draw the attention of the legislator to understand that this person not only had a cognitive disease and that it was slowly killing them, but we wanted them to maintain attention and understand what it was like to be in that person's shoes, but also more importantly, because caregivers usually predecease their loved one 60% of the time. Stress and all that stuff, right? And it was amazing to watch legislators engage when the person with the disease made it halfway through and needed to be cued to pick it back up. You understood a little bit more. So, Ross, if you go to Tallahassee and you tell me that story, I'm going to engage. And the average person, generally speaking, with any sort of describable heartbeat, would do the same. Now, there are people that are nasty people up there, don't get me wrong. They may not believe you. But there are people on the extreme left and people on the extreme right who would take time to understand what you were talking about and connect a little bit more. And that's the personal difference that you can make, telling your story and being open about it. The more you all break the silence, not that I was segueing, but it actually worked out pretty well, thank you, Ross, is, you know, that's who you are. And obviously you did put on your pants today. Obviously, you know, you've probably done very well. And that's okay. You're completely normal, actually. And we should begin seeing you that way. And there is a stigma, you know, but you can move past that once you understand that you are completely normal. It doesn't matter how you got here. Your experience matters. And that experience is what you need to capture to get it in 120 members of the House and 40 members of the Senate. So we get it. And that takes patience and time and education, but it's very, very possible. So